Gervonta Davis taking a lot of heat for not moving up in weight and fighting Lamont Roach. And many boxing analysts are saying that Gervonta Davis is a coward because he won't do what Isaac Cruz did and move up in weight. Why can't Gervonta do this and get the greatness that he seeks? Let's talk about that in this video. Y'all are not going to like me on this one. Well, at least the people that don't like Gervonta Davis are not going to like me on this one. But I'll live. There is a fight coming up in December between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. It is a fight that I am happy is taking place because if Gervonta Davis wasn't fighting Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis wouldn't be fighting anybody. So, since I don't think I have anything to do that Saturday night, I am more than likely going to buy a pay-per-view. If I wasn't going out of town the month before for something related to my family, I would probably be in Houston, front row, watching the fight live, like I've done with other Gervonta Davis fights. So I'm happy that the fight is made. But there's a lot of other people that are saying, no, I don't ever want to see Gervonta Davis fight unless he's fighting the guy that I want to see him fight. And apparently, for some people, the guy that people want him to fight is somebody up at 140 pounds. So the question is asked, why can't Gervonta Davis just move to 140? I'm not one that usually likes to answer dumb questions, but in this particular case, I'll answer the dumb question. Gervonta Davis can move up to 140. And he has moved up to 140. That's not a question about whether or not he can or can't. He obviously can move to 140. The real question is, why would he move to 140? Is that something that Gervonta Davis should do? And is it something Gervonta Davis must do? And the answer to both of those are no chance. And let's look at the scenario and analyze it. Devin Haney moved up from 135 to 140. Teofimo Lopez moved up from 135 to 140. Rayo Valenzuela moved up from 135 to 140. Jermaine Ortiz moved up from 135 to 140. There's a bunch of people that were in 135 that moved up to 140. Why did they move to 140? Without exception, every single solitary one of them moved up because they had to, not because they wanted to. Devin didn't move up because he wanted to. Devin was killing himself for years to stay at 135. Devin should have moved up to, Devin shouldn't even be in 140. Devin should be in 147. Obviously, Ryan wasn't supposed to be at 135. He moved up to 136 and 140 and 143 because he couldn't make 135. Isaac Cruz, maybe he could make 135, but he sure couldn't fight for a championship because he'd already lost to Gervonta Davis. And the rest of the belts are held by Top Rank. So there was no fight for him. He moved up to fight for a championship because he had to. Rolly Romero moved up to 140 pounds because he lost at a championship shot at 135, got a championship at 140. He had to move up there to get a championship shot. He had already lost to the one champion that he was going to get a shot at 135. Teofimo Lopez moved up because he couldn't make the weight. He got sick trying to in the Kambosos fight, draining himself down. So he had to go to 140 pounds. Go on and on. All these Jermaine Ortiz. I promise you, Jermaine Ortiz moved up to 135 because he can't move up to 140 because he can't make the weight. So everybody that people are talking about, oh man, look at these guys are moving up. Why can't Gervonta do it? Dude, they didn't move up because they wanted to move up. They moved up because they had to move up. And the fact of the matter is Gervonta Davis is already in his third weight class. Gervonta Davis is not the same weight. The reason Gervonta Davis shouldn't go to 140 is because Gervonta Davis is not a 140 pounder. All the other 140 pounders that you guys are talking about are all really 147 pounders. That's how the boxing works, man. And you guys don't get to convince a guy that's a 130 pounder that just because your favorite fighter just so happens to have been weight draining down to 135 for years and now can barely make 140 and really needs to be 147, that somehow Gervonta Davis needs to cut him a break and go follow him. That's ridiculous. Okay? It's just ridiculous. People move up in boxing for a couple reasons. They move up in weight because they can't make the weight, or they move up in weight because they're chasing that bag. Or they move up because, hey, sometimes guys with the bag do want to get championships in multiple divisions. Well, guess what? Gervonta got the bag. And Gervonta Davis is in a weight class that he moved up to, 135. He's already there. He's already there. You guys keep trying to put Gervonta Davis in the same bucket with Devin, with T.O., with Devin, with T.O., with the guys that are going to wind up at 140 and 147. That's not the bag he's in. Those guys are going to wind up having to fight Jaron Ennis if Jaron Ennis stays at 147. That's where they're going to go. What you are really asking is, when is Gervonta Davis going to make dumb decisions and start fighting guys that are literally too big for him to beat? And start giving guys that were at 135 at one point in time, start giving them 15, 20, 25 pound advantages in fights against him. Unfortunately for the people that want to see their guys beat Gervonta, they're going to have to do it at 135. Because that's the weight class that he fights in. If you want to fight Tyson Fury, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to fight at heavyweight. He's not coming down in weight for you. He's not doing anything for you're going to have to fight at heavyweight. Okay? If you want to fight Canelo, you're going to have to fight Canelo at the weight Canelo is going to fight at. If you want to fight Gervonta, you got to fight Gervonta at the weight Gervonta is fighting at. Period. And if you are really just a fourth choice for him, he doesn't have to chase you up into that division. It's just silly, and nor should he. Because again, he has already made it. He doesn't have to chase the bag. The bag is with him, and everybody chasing the bag has to go with him. So if you couldn't make 135 and you had to move up, too bad, so sad. If you're at 130 and you want smoke at 135, man, move up, right? Because nobody's going to have a problem with people moving, their favorite fighter moving up to fight somebody. So if you're at 130, hey, man, you go to 135 because that's where the money is at. And that's why the 135 pounders are getting shots at 130. 130 champions are getting fights at 135 because the champions that are in 135 are Bob Arum fighters. So they're not really, or they were, Shakur is gone now, but they weren't positioned for the fight. And the other PBC fighters that were in that weight class, Tank fought. But, you know, it's an interesting conversation listening to people try to convince people to do things that are bad for their career so that ultimately they can lose and you can turn around and say, man, this guy went for too much. No, thank you. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.